So, Mark, did you see the future is here? Zoox on the strip, stalled out. This is what all the haters say is going to happen.
I mean, this is kind of worst nightmare scenario, isn't it? In the busiest area in Vegas or a crazy area to be driving in, and you're just stuck in this sardine can, not moving. You can't do anything. You can't talk to anybody, just strapped.
That's the future, baby. I mean, this is what we want. This is the trade-off you get for fancy self-driving cars.
That's why we got drivers in the tunnels, man.
Well, it is 2026, and we have to talk the Raiders, officially the team in the NFL with the worst record this season. And just before recording, they put out a statement. The Las Vegas Raiders have relieved Pete Carroll of his duties as head coach. We appreciate and wish him and his family the best. Moving forward, general manager John Spytek will lead all football operations in close collaboration with Tom Brady, including the search for the club's next head coach. So Tom Brady, he's all up in there for this. But is this like the fifth coach that we've had in 6 years or something? Crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I can't throw shade. I'm a Lions fan. I know hiring bad coach after bad coach, usually they get more than a year. It's kind of wild. But Pete Carroll was, 73, 74 when he got hired? I don't know what the plan was there long term anyway. At least he stopped them from getting arrested every week. So there's some good that came out of this. But I don't know, the general manager, if this is the same general manager that hired him, didn't put a good team together. It's not, you can't work miracles with the crap that you had on that team. So I wouldn't blame all Pete Carroll. I don't know where they go from here. You need to get somebody young that's invigorating, but you definitely have a number one overall pick. You're going to have some stuff to work with so you can move on and start to build around that.
Well, if I remember correctly, and I didn't look this up before the show, but Tom Brady assisted in the head coach search last year. I still don't understand how he can be a commentator, which I love his being a commentator, but a team that's in huge struggles. They've struggled ever since they've come here, and we will see how it goes. Speaking of struggles, on the last show, we talked about the airport numbers, but the rest of the numbers came in after recording, and I did put them up on the screen. Just as predicted, statewide gaming revenue was up 2.39% in November. Visitors were down 5.2%, and I think year over year, we're down about 7.4% on visitors. So I thought I would let you chime in. This is obviously a significant amount of people that are not coming to Las Vegas.
Yeah, it's a big number there, but it's still surprising that we continue to see it up on the gambling side of things, up year over year for the area, for the state, for the strip, all that stuff. So they're getting less people, but they're getting the big money people, I guess. And we were talking about this when I was there. That's great for the Wynns of the world, the Bellagios of the world, but does it help the Luxors, the Excaliburs of the world? Are the people that we're seeing not come kind of the ones that fill out that mid-tier to lower tier properties, and are they really struggling where all the high tier are bringing in these high net worth individuals who are leaving the money behind? But that's not helping the whole of Vegas, I don't think.
Yeah, I agree. And it just seems like it's going to continue in that direction in 2026. So we will keep an eye on the numbers. But we were on the strip for New Year's Eve, and boy, was there a lot of people. It was raining and cold. And so a lot of people were inside, making the casinos as crowded as I've ever seen them.
Yeah, it was the busiest I've ever seen in Vegas, and I've been there for bigger events or big events too, March Madness, Super Bowl when it was in Vegas, and then F1, and this was by far the craziest I've seen it. I think the closest comes like mid like 2015, 2017, somewhere in there, like March Madness would have similar vibes, but this was still felt like 20, 30, 40% more people. I don't know. The casinos were packed, the street was packed, everything was packed.
Yeah, it was fun. We spent a lot of the night inside the 99 Prince bar where Disco Show was about to close. It was like third to last day before it closed, and we hung out in the bar, which was fun, and some of the lively atmosphere, met a couple people, then headed outside. And it was crazy because we headed outside only a few minutes before midnight and kind of got stuck in an area because it was just a traffic jam outside, and it was just a busy weekend. Anybody who's saying Vegas isn't busy, clearly that wasn't the case. Even the rain brought the people to the city, and it was rain. I mean, it was cold and rainy, and I walked around a lot, but this was my first time on the strip in 25 years. I can't believe it. And every local I told that I went there, they just looked at me like I was nuts.
Hold up. Can we back up for a minute? I know we've been talking about the Disco Show a lot. This was my first time going in there and getting to see it. and we're not getting paid by them. So I know that's probably what it seems like. It's just such a cool atmosphere environment. The downstairs, the first floor bar is very, very nice, fun. Upstairs is more like dance clubby vibey, but it's big and spacious. So you get a little bit more room up there. There's also a restaurant that I don't think anybody even knows about on the second floor that's right off of there. So I don't know how you would know that these things are in there. And they do a poor job of this. I hopefully they figure that out with getting rid of the show to focus on the bar, the restaurant, things like that. I mean, the guys, I'm waiting up by the bar trying to get a drink, and there's two guys. They're like, "How the hell did you know to come in here?" I'm like, "Buddy has been to the show, and he knew that you could just come into the bar." They're like, "Yeah, we were in the show, but we didn't know that we could come into this bar, and we've been sitting here all night. This place is great. There's even an entrance off the strip that I've walked by a ton of times, and yeah, when you know it's there and you're looking at it, you're like, okay, that makes sense, but there's no real." And like, come on in. There's a little sign that says bar, but it's not overly inviting. You don't know what it is. They need to do a better job of promoting what this is inside, what's available to you. The restaurant looked beautiful. I mean, we didn't go in and eat, but it looked pretty stunning to me. If the food's any good, it's definitely a place you should check out.
Yeah, the vibe in there is great. And we didn't get to see the proper disco show when you were there because you landed in town too late. But yeah, just being in there, and I hope those venues do survive. And it's a cool place to hang out. And like I said, we got stuck there not because we got stuck, but because we were having a good time and enjoying the vibes in there. Other areas of New Year's Eve, obviously Fremont Street had their thing, and we got a great video of the zip lining. And then you were questioning why everybody had umbrellas, and just as a reminder that the Fremont Street experience doesn't stop the rain.
Which is so dumb. I guess I've never been there when it's been raining, to come to think of it. And it wasn't even raining very much. It wasn't like a monsoon like we see where everything gets flooded. It was just a sprinkling. So the fact that that's coming through is kind of crazy. I don't know why they wouldn't put a roof over it and kind of protect it so that there wouldn't be water coming through. I mean, no, it doesn't rain a ton in Vegas, at least days wise. So maybe it was an afterthought. But don't you think that's kind of crazy that you have that and it's not shielding it from the weather?
I mean, it's just always been that way. Remember, the original version had light bulbs, so it was different, but I never thought much about it until you said that. It's not like it's pouring through. I think it does block most of the rain, but certainly some of it still comes through. Another aspect I thought was cool was a couple of fancy gamblers sharing their party experiences. I know Boondocks, he shared over at Aria what he was doing, and then Vegas Fan 1970 also shared his parties. Not just the party on New Year's Eve, but also the fancy brunches that come the next day.
Yeah, and they do this every year, and it's always cool to get a peek behind the curtain, and if you're not invited to them. But it's a great way to reward their most loyal players and everything like that. It seems like a fun time. Everybody gets up for it. Not my scene, but I could see why people would really enjoy it.
Yeah, it just shows that there's so many different ways to slice New Year's Eve in Vegas, from the raw being out there on the street to one of the fancy posh
Yeah,
parties.
raw dog it.
You just can't say the word raw, and Mark can't handle it. But also, I wanted to mention Boondocks because he's really fun on social media. He's not a creator. He's gambles a lot, gets some cool comps, shares a lot of his experiences, always like a very positive, fun attitude. And he had a lot of comps, I guess, at the end of his trip. So he said, going to start my How to Burn Casino F&B comps while traveling solo special. And then he did 24 18-ounce New York strips that were already blackened and seared, rare, so he could finish cooking them at home, along with 30 chicken tenders. So he burned all this up. I mean, this looks great. What a great way to burn comps.
No, it's cool that they packaged them up for him so he could take them to go, and they were willing to do all that. And I don't know if he had a cooler, if he's driving, if he's flying. I don't know how you get that home, but it's pretty amazing. Great idea.
As a reminder, we have our Patreon. $5 a month gets you access to our weekly after show. Later this month, we're going to announce a revamp for the Patreon, but all current patrons will get all of the benefits for all the tiers. So sign up now, get in early, patreon.com/MTM Vegas for all the information. And thanks to everybody who supports us over there. So to get down to for New Year's Eve, I had a couple different options. I was figuring out where to park, and I decided to park at Rio because I can't escape that place. But I theorized that it would be a good place to park. The Flamingo Bridge was closed, walking over and back worked out really well for me. But I also got a chance to check out the $10 gambler special that we had talked about on a previous show at Attaboy. That's their burger place. And this is a double smash burger, curly fries, and a beer. I was able to substitute out the beer for a fountain drink. And I think the double smash burger by itself is $12. You're seeing what it looks like now. This was a darn good deal any day of the week, especially on New Year's Eve.
No, it's crazy that it's so much more just for the burger. Normally, it doesn't make a ton of sense, but I'm guessing anybody that goes up there and tries to order a burger, they say, well, do you want this deal instead? Or hopefully they do, but it doesn't really look like a smash burger. It looks like a quarter pounder or something, or a third of a pound. There's a lot of beef in there.
Yeah, that was my one. I don't know if it's a complaint because the burger was really good, but it wasn't thin like a smash burger. The patties were a little bit thicker, but flavor was really good. The fries were good. They have Coke Freestyle machines. Heck, the drink by itself is $6 at the food hall there. And then reminder, they also have at Guys, I think they have the 2 shrimp taco combo for $10, and then the chicken sandwich over the kitchen table for $10. Those are their 3 sort of specials. And all you need is a player's card. And yeah, I would do this again. I don't know where anywhere else where I can get that, even non-casino, anywhere else, that kind of burger, fries, and a drink these days for $10. Maybe In-N-Out. So now that you've given me crap about my food choices, let's talk about yours and Gordon Ramsay Fish and Chips. You went there. Their menu's a little confusing these days because it seems like the fish is like $22 and then you add on the fries, but you found out you can get the fish by itself for 15 and then the fish and chips is like 22 with everything. But you did that, you posted a receipt, and why are you such a cheap bastard?
Yeah, no, the way the sign works is they show like it's an extra $6 if you get the fries dirty, which is like with stuff on them and everything. But I only wanted the fish anyway. I never eat all the chips, and you find yourself, they're good, but you find yourself just shoving it in your face to eat them. So I was like, oh, just give me the fish, and totally expected to still pay the $22, but it was $15 or $14.97. And anybody that hasn't been there, this isn't his sit down restaurant. This is a grab and go. This is fast food. This is McDonald's, Taco Bell, whatever you want. You order, you wait, they give it to you, you walk out. So the tip thing popped up, which I thought was kind of weird because it is fast food. But I was like, all right, I'll give $1. She was very nice and didn't really think anything of it, and took a picture just to show like, hey, this is a great deal in Vegas. You get 3 big pieces of fish, 2 dips. The sriracha aioli is by far the best in my opinion. It's amazing. It's got some spice to it, great flavor. It goes really well with the fish. That fills you up, and that's one of the best deals on the strip, I think, in terms of quality of what you're getting and then price. And somebody commented, "Oh, get ready, the hate's coming because you only tipped $1." And then a little bit after that, someone's like, "Oh, are you bragging about being a cheap tightwad?" And I'm like, "Do you expect to tip at Burger King? I don't understand. Maybe I'm off here. I don't know."
Yeah, let's talk about it in the comments. We've, certainly tipping culture has changed a lot in the US. And I don't think when you go to a fast food thing where you're not getting any specific service that you should be required to tip. And I often, like you, if something pops up, I'll put a minimum. It depends on where I'm at. And it's just funny that you always have to be careful with what you put on social media.
Yeah, I should have just cut the receipt. To be honest, I forgot I tipped. I didn't even think about it. I wanted to show like the taxes and everything all inclusive of it. I figured because that's not the full story. If you're just like, oh, it's $14.97, but there are taxes and fees and everything else. Just trying to share the experience, maybe a useful tip to somebody like that they didn't know that you could just get the fish and it's actually quite a bit cheaper. But hey, shame on me, I guess.
Yeah, good fish and chips. That's the moral of the story. We both love their fish and chips. I think it's $35 when I was at the pub a few weeks ago. So certainly a cheaper option there where you get the smaller pieces of fish, and the breading is darn good and those sauces are good, and you should absolutely check it out. But let's talk the most expensive homes in Las Vegas. I saw this article in the Review Journal going the 5 most expensive houses listed for sale. I feel like a few years ago, the most expensive house was like $10 million, and now it's $30 million. People can fact check
The
me
Mark
on
Wahlberg
that.
effect.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, and 3 of these houses are in the Summit Club where Mark Wahlberg lives up in Summerlin. One of them, the new Bellagio or something they're calling it, is being built up in McDonald Highlands. And I don't know, that didn't look all that fancy to me. But I wanted to talk about this one that's the second most expensive house. It's in the lakes. This is an older area. And this is back in the 80s and 90s. They would build these communities that had lakes in the middle of them. So just imagine like a regular subdivision where your house sits on a lake. This one has like medieval vibes and stuff. But I was sort of shocked to see in that area in the lakes a $28 million house. But I also liked it better than any of the other ones.
Yeah, that was by far my favorite. I was going to let you guess which one was my favorite, but I figured you'd know it'd be the one that has water. And it's cool when you walk out the back, they have the pool overlooking the lake, but then you go down and they have a little boat dock and these little party boat looking type of things, which at first glance, before I realized it was on the lake, I'm like, oh, is that like a bigger pool? Do they have a little lagoon pool that they have boats for, or what's going on here? And then you see more of it and you're like, oh, that looks really cool. And there's a park at the southern part of the lake that I went on Google Maps and looked at, and that It looks beautiful.
Yeah, I used to spend a lot of time in that area and I knew people who lived in there. And I think there's another big community in southern Nevada, Desert Shores, that has several lakes in the middle of it. But this one is a bit more unique, all high end housing. And I do think that they must dye the water. I never thought much about it over the years, but it's that weird blue. They probably have to be dyeing it, right?
I don't know. Lake Las Vegas still takes it for me because they have that little town around it, the shops, the bars, all that stuff. So I think that's the premier lake community in the area.
Yeah, this was a quirky one though, and I thought it was interesting to highlight. All the other really fancy houses, they just all seemed white and not very distinct from each other. I was a little disappointed for them being the most expensive homes in Vegas.
Where do you think Mark Davis's is going to end up on the list when it's done?
Gaudiness, I think, number one. So this next one comes from Mark Meltzer, and is this the future of valet in Vegas? We had a great conversation with the GM of Sahara this week, and we will talk about that on a future show about valet parking, how they're keeping valet parking, and how everywhere else has sort of gotten rid of it. But if they got these robots, then they could make it free again, Mark.
And Sean still made me take the stairs at the parking garage instead of just valet.
I'm not used to valeting anymore. There was a time where you just valeted a casino, and now most places it costs money. And I forget that, like places like Sahara, it's still free.
Yeah, no, it's cool that they're keeping that going, and we have a lot of good stuff to share that we learned from them. So I'm excited to talk about it. But this is kind of cool. I mean, it's crazy looking. I don't know if they can have enough of these, if it's viable that way to do it as valet parking, but it'd be wild and probably super efficient. It's just a question of how much cost would go into having enough of these. And then if one goes haywire, do we have a Zoox type of nightmare where they all pile up somewhere?
Bring back free valet. That's the moral of the story. I miss it. I miss feeling fancy. And it used to be, we're talking about this. It used to be the feeling I'm going to the casino. I'm going to be fancy. They charge for valet parking everywhere else, but it's free here. Just give a good tip to the driver. And now you've lost all that. And it does sort of take away from some of the fanciness that we felt even in the lower end properties.
Yeah, I think the valet guys, at least on the Las Vegas show, they made more money than a lot of other people. So I'm sure they'd love to have that job back where it's free and people are tipping better just because they're like, oh, thanks for taking care of this. And it was a nice touch.
They also went to work in surveillance and security after they weren't valet parkers anymore. So I don't know if that show is very accurate. So we have partnered with Las Vegas Advisor. It's 2026 and their new book is about to come out. And they have agreed to give 10% off for MTM Vegas viewers. So you can go to Las Vegas Advisor. I'll put a link down in the description. Use the code MTM, and that will get you 10% off your 2026 book. They have online discounts, but you'll get the physical book as well with a great slew of discounts around Las Vegas. Las Vegas Advisor been around forever. It'll save you some money.
Yeah, I think after one trip, you get your money back plus some. So definitely check it out.
I also wanted to follow up on the previous show where I talked about my Tropicana silver coin, and I was debating whether to clean it or not. The masses have spoken, Mark, and I will not be cleaning that. Everybody was very upset with the idea of me taking the patina off of it and the burnt stuff, and it does have a great history, and I will be keeping that. But people also sent me some of their coin collections, which I thought was worth sharing. The first one comes from Vegas Uncomped. I think he had Monte Carlo, Golden Gate, the old Hard Rock Vegas, a lot of dollar coins there. Then Den Star 4. I really love this. He had the defunct COVID Vegas casinos. He had Texas Station, the Reserve, which is turned into the Fiesta Henderson, which was torn down, Santa Fe, and then Joker's Wild, which is about to go away. And then Kirk Bennett sent me some from Silver City after we talked about all of the history of that property on a recent show. And showing all of them here, and this is cool. I'm so glad you guys have these collections and very happy to share it with the audience.
No, it was a lot of fun to have people get into this and share what they've had. And I've been one to collect like the $5 chips from a whole bunch of different casinos and never got into these, which I'm regretting that choice.
Yeah, I kind of regret it too. I mean, the dollar coins where every casino had their own version of the dollar coins. And then of course the silver strike coins, which, you can still sort of get downtown at Plaza and Four Queens and stuff, but they're not pure silver like they were. So while there's still a little of this left in Las Vegas, and obviously you can still do chips, a lot of this is gone and won't come back. We're not going to see versions of these coins for, obviously the property's gone, but even the ones that are there. And it's always neat when you have a love of something in the community and then you find other people kind of do that. And yeah, that is a carpet sitting over my head.
I was going to mention it. You beat me to it.
And let's close with this. We talked about how gaming revenue was up, But also, we've talked a lot about how Las Vegas is trying to lure high spenders, even if they don't gamble. F1 is a big part of that, I think. And MGM wants a status in order to have these affluent people who spend a lot of money but don't gamble a lot, give them some benefits, hence the MGM Fountain Club. Now, if that name sounds familiar, the Fountain Club is the name of their venue for F1 as well. So maybe tying all of this in together. But basically, the idea is if you are a high spender, they will invite you to this status and you will get free airport transportation. You get a host to be able to book you VIP reservations and stuff. According to Reddit and some of the stuff being shared, it doesn't give you better comps on property. It doesn't give you some of the benefits that a high roller would get, but at least it's an acknowledgement. You spend a lot of money with us and we're going to treat you a little better.
Yeah, I find this kind of interesting because I feel like they had already tied some of this into a lot of the players' clubs where spending on property gets you status, gets you tier credits, gets you all of those things. So I don't know, this seems a little bit redundant to me, but maybe it's just if you spend a lot on F1 type of stuff and that wasn't quite crediting to the MGM program. So this is something a little bit different for terms of that. Is that what you're thinking?
Well, it's interesting because they already had noir status, which was invite only. I think that the algorithms used to generate how many points you need are heavily based on you gambling. So even if you spend a tremendous amount of money, you're probably not getting up to the status that you should, given the value of a client you are to them. And I think that's probably what it is. They figured out that people spending a ton of money in the restaurants but not gambling at all weren't ascending high enough in their program in order to give them the benefits because they want to recognize them. I think other casinos have done this in the past. I know people mentioned Wynn had some sort of an alternative program in the past. I don't know a ton about that. It sort of makes sense because you are treated one way when you're a big gambler. I've had platinum status with MGM many times when I wasn't gambling a lot through matches and stuff like that. And then they just look in the system and they're like, sorry. So I think they also could give you benefits separate from the status. I guess this is just an internal way of them to make sure that these people don't fall through the cracks.
Yeah, but they could just give them noir, right?
Yeah, but I think noir comes with a higher level of benefits. Like to me, this would seem like less than like a side tier is what somebody described it as. I don't know. Look, we've talked about all the high limit rooms becoming nicer, the spending on the high end. We see it in the numbers with the gambling revenue, even though this isn't specific to this story, but the gambling revenue going up while visitors are down. It's clear Vegas is all in on the wealthy people on delivering those experiences. If you have a property like MGM has several, you want to bring those people in. And it doesn't really matter because casinos aren't 80% of the revenue.
Yeah, I think that's the big shift that we've seen in Vegas, and they need to reward people for that because the draw, bringing people in, they're trying to do all these other things that are outside of gaming. So it makes sense to roll this out, or at least it makes sense to acknowledge that type of spender. I just don't know if they could have done it within the program to make it a little bit more streamlined, but I'm glad they're doing something for the people.
And I'll be waiting for my Fountain Club card, MGM. Just send it over to my house. They'll laugh when they see my spend on MGM properties, not nearly as much as some of these people. But let us know in the comments what you think. Is Fountain Club a good idea? Having these side tiers, moving away from just looking at gambling spend, is that a good move for Vegas loyalty programs? Something we should see more of in the future? New Year's Eve, what did you do? Were you in Vegas? What kind of fun did you have? The most expensive homes in Vegas, those fancy coins from the past, everything we discussed on this show. Please leave a comment. I cannot talk. Thanks so much for watching. Talk to you next time.
Have a good week, everybody.
It's embarrassing how long it took me to get through that outro.
You don't want to take 10 seconds to share your hate of Coke freestyle machines?
They have good Coke freestyle machines. I don't hate. I love Coke freestyle machines. It's just the one place.
See, nobody else out there knows that there's different types of Coke freestyle machines. They all just think they're the same, Sean.
They are the same. It's just the amount of syrup that you put through. We all know that you go to McDonald's for a Diet Coke, it's great because they put more syrup. You go somewhere else, it's the same thing with freestyle. I'm cutting all this out, so I don't know what we're even still talking about.